Is there an ending where he gets psychological help? Please? Tell me. Hello, Degenerates, and we got some disclaimers that we gotta get out of the way first. This work is fictional and is not meant to harm any religion or religious figure. This work is not meant to represent everyone with psychosis. Not suitable for minors or those who are easily disturbed. Warning. Mentions of infidelity, blood, death, abuse, and hallucinations. So if you're sensitive to any of those subjects, please, maybe this video is not for you. But with that out of the way, let's go. Made by Chanimk. This game is called Forgive My Desires, Father. Okay, let's get right into it. Danny, I'm home. I stepped into the living room, hiding a present behind my back. As soon as she noticed me, my fiancée ran over and wrapped her arms around my back. Welcome home, Sammy. While we were sharing an embrace, her fingers brushed across the present that I was holding. My cock! Is that a dick? No. Since it was no longer a secret, I passed her the bouquet I had brought for her as a gift. It's for you! I picked out the prettiest of flowers suited for someone as beautiful as you. Aw, isn't that sweet? Everything's going to come crashing down, isn't it? You're such a sweetheart. Danny held the flowers and took a whiff. They smell lovely. I can't believe you still buy me flowers every single day. So this is a daily occurrence? Jesus. That's crazy. My light is being weird. Of course, I want to wholeheartedly show my love for you. Aww. My fiancé and I had been dating for 2 months. It was just last week that I got down on one knee and proposed to her. 2 months? Buddy. People warned us we were moving too fast, but they don't understand love like I do. Or maybe you don't understand love. I wish to be married as soon as possible, for that is when I can finally become one with the person I love. If you say so, that is ideal true love. With an oath tied around us, she can never leave me. Ha! Once you got that ring on, you're trapped. You're done. Divorce is not an option. Never. Oh. I held Danny tightly in my arms. Her body felt warm, and I let myself absorb this warmth. The serene sensation always calmed me, even if during the roughest days. Love is truly a powerful emotion. Or maybe you're just a little in over your head. My life was perfect, just the way I wanted it to be. I wanted things to stay the same forever. Peaceful. Danny was exemplary in my eyes, gentle and warm. Those 2 traits were all I asked for. She's gentle, so gentle. But it all changed one day. Who knew after a few months of dating that things wouldn't stay peaceful like I wanted? Who knew? Who knew that only after a few months that you wouldn't actually fully understand this person and that you just totally jumped in? Danny was slowly turning into a different person. She was no longer the gentle Danny I once knew. Flowers, again. You don't need to keep buying them. I raised my brows, confused. She used to be so happy when I bought her gifts. So why is she upset now? Her current tone doesn't sound so pleasant. It sounded strong. I did not like that. Sammy, we should start saving up as much money as we can for our future. This is really loud. Holy hell. Don't worry about it. How can I not be worried when we're just scraping by every month? We have to plan and save the budget for our wedding. I'll figure something out. No, you won't, Sammy. You were never a planner. You're always carefree. You probably don't care about our wedding, do you? I do, I really do. If you actually cared, you would have fought for your inheritance. Whoa, this is taking a turn, man. Inheritance. That's a word that I despised with all my heart. My mother had passed away many months ago. She was a selfish person who only cared about herself. One day, a fire started and burned down the house with her in it. Well, it was an accident. And my mother, fortunately, passed away in the tragedy. You know, just so happened to be an accident. Fortunately, she was just there. Very fortunate. Oh my god, I never liked her. Dude, you're suspect number 1. The house insurance was in her mother's name, and there was no will. Nother's siblings lived in that home when we were younger, so they have as much right to fight for the money as I do. But I didn't want to join their bitter feud. Listening to family members yell at each other made me feel miserable and small. I don't want to hear their hostile voices. Their horrid and harsh voices. I despise them. I would rather be surrounded by calming, gentle presence of my dear lover. But now... Sammy, I wish you would start being more responsible and fight for your inheritance. We could do a lot with that money. We could have a huge wedding and invite hundreds of Oh, no! Fuck that! We don't need a lavish wedding. What's the point? All I'm saying is that we could use the money for our future. Maybe make some investments. Maybe a better place to rent. Maybe saving some funds if we were ever to have children. With the way things are going, we're going to face a lot of hardships that could easily be prevented with money. You should really start thinking about our future. Please don't raise your voice at me. Why isn't she using her sweet, gentle tone with me anymore? Is it because her mind has been invaded by greed? This guy has a weird way of thinking, and I'm not totally down with it. That horrible, horrible sin. Why does she want money? Maybe because you're struggling. It's not a sin to want money. Ugh. With the carefree way that you're acting, it's like you don't care about me or our future at all. You're always spending money so recklessly. You should save more. A whimper escaped from my throat. Why is she scolding me? I don't want to be yelled at. I really don't. I wanted my calm and gentle Danny back. Well, maybe calm and gentle Danny isn't getting the point across. Please don't scold me. I'm not scolding you, I'm just trying to make you think more rationally. I listlessly stare at her. Her words were becoming less audible. I never could stand it when someone raised their voice at me. The harsh tone that was directed towards me was unbearable. The tone was something I never could handle. The more she yelled at me, the more I felt trapped, as if I was losing my rational senses. If you don't start contributing to our future, everything we worked hard for will be meaningless. Replacing Danny, another woman appeared before my eyes. Useless. My heart started to thump loudly. Oh boy. That word, that all too familiar word, the demon likes to call me by. You're useless, Samuel. No, I'm not. My heart rate increased, and my heart throbbed as if someone was stabbing my brain. No. My panicked state seemed to cause Danny to be concerned. Sammy, what's wrong? You alright? My fiancé took a few more steps towards me, but the closer she got, the more I saw her. Her being his mother. My deceased mother, yeah. You should be dead, so why are you here? Samuel, you have always been worthless. Stop! Don't say it anymore! Both Danny's and Mother's voices merged as they screeched into my eardrums. You were nothing but a nuisance to me. No! Don't come any closer! I hate you! I hate you with all my heart! How could you say that to me? Oof. The ringing in my ears suddenly stopped, and I could clearly see Danny instead of my mother. Oh boy. I watched her, puzzled. She seemed as if she was about to cry, but why would she be hurt? Maybe because you have some deeply buried trauma that you need to go talk to someone about. Maybe get some medication, because you're not supposed to be seeing your dead mother. You're not supposed to see dead people, guys. I don't want to make light of this, but that's my coping process. What do you mean, what's wrong? You were just screaming that you hate me. How could you? No, that wasn't intended for you. Get out of the house. I don't want to see you right now. Danny, get out and think deeply about what you just said to me. It really wasn't intended for you. It was incomprehensible to me as to why she was enraged. But I left anyway. I left not because I wanted to reflect. It was because I didn't want to be surrounded by anger. I didn't like that side of Danny. Wrath is an ugly, ugly emotion. So, first we got greed, and then we got wrath. So I'm sensing a pattern here. I hate it. I found myself at a graveyard, hovering over a tombstone. Mother, why are you here in the mortal world? From all the sins you've committed, have you become a demon after all? A malevolent being whose purpose is to cause despair and misfortune on others? How suiting for someone like you. Please, stop coming into my life. I despise you. I do not wish to see you ever again. Remember what you did? I fucking knew it wasn't an accident. Hearing a voice whispering into my ears, I glanced around, but nobody was there. So I turned around. You killed her. I didn't, so stop bothering me. I know everything that you did. These horrid voices, they've been bothering me for a while. Well, maybe if you didn't light your mother up. I'm sorry, guys. Reading makes me yawn. Sometimes they try to convince me odd things. Other times, like now, they try to inflict guilt upon me. It's an essence of pure evil that has been invading my life. Didn't you feel relieved when you killed her? No! I did nothing to her! Unable to handle it any longer, I covered my ears with my hands, but the voice was still clear. You killed her! The music is... Hell yeah. I did nothing! I'm begging you, please stop talking! The voice only grew louder. It was unable to get rid of it no matter how much I prayed for it to stop. Our Father, your power brings us to birth. Your providence guides our lives, and by your command we return to dust. Suddenly, the voices in my head stopped, and we were replaced with a more soothing one. I realized that it didn't come from my head, but this time from someone nearby. Hearing the prayer instantly made me feel at ease, freeing me from my troubled thoughts. I glanced around, searching for the source of the beautiful voice, and found myself greeted by an ethereal presence. Those who die still live in your presence. Their lives change but do not end. I pray and hope for the family, relatives, and friends, for all the dead known to you alone. The owner of the soothing tone came from a priest who was performing a funeral service. I paid no attention to the mourners in the back. I solely focused my eyes on the graceful man who stood in front of the casket. Beautiful, both his voice and his presence. He was radiant in every aspect, a breathtaking sight to behold, as if an angel was standing before me. Never had I ever felt this enchanted towards an individual who died and now lives. May they rejoice in your kingdom where all our tears are wiped away. Unite us together again in one family to sing your praise forever and ever. Amen. Amen. I was not part of the deceased family, but I found myself repeating after him. It's habit. The priest was a powerful man. His voice was able to completely remove the evil in my head and make me feel at ease. His soft, gentle voice. I watched him for the entire duration of the service. My heart raced whenever he spoke. Not from panic this time, but from infatuation. He was all that filled my mind at that moment. But my happiness came to the stop when the sermon ended. Everyone started to leave one by one, and so did my dear priest. He was walking further and further away from me. Then, the demonic voices in my head returned. You have to make him yours. You need to go talk to him. Oh, we get to choose? You need to go talk to him. You're right. I can't let this opportunity slip away. Quietly, I decided to follow him. Not long after, he led me to a church nearby. He entered, and so did I. A smile crept onto my face. I was glad. I was relieved. Because I knew that this was the location where he would be found whenever I yearned to see him. I knew then that I would be visiting that church often. Later, I received a call from Danny telling me to come home and that she forgave me. I didn't understand her. What does she mean by forgave me? I had done nothing wrong. You literally yelled at her in your schizophrenic episode, bro. She was the one who should be seeking forgiveness from me for raising her voice at me, not the other way around. You are Delulu! I shrugged it off, but deep down, I was beginning to feel reluctant about my fiancé. Her hostile tone was ingrained in my head. It wasn't natural at all. I knew then that she wasn't the gentle Danny who I once knew. I had a growing suspicion that she had been possessed by none other than my very own demonic mother, Buddy. At that moment, I knew that my infatuation was no longer directed towards her. See, I told you, you weren't in love, but towards him. The light in my darkness. Every day I yearned to visit the church to see the man who was the center of my interest, but unfortunately I could only visit during my days off. Whenever I was available, I would attend his sermon just to hear his beautiful, gentle voice. I never grew tired of watching and hearing him from afar. But as days passed, it wasn't satisfactory anymore. I wanted to converse with him. I wanted him. Sammy, we have to talk. Is something the matter? Why didn't you tell me that your own old home's insurance had been settled? Because my aunts and uncles claimed most of the money, and I knew that it would upset you. Doesn't matter whether it upsets me or not, I'm more concerned why you are hiding things from me. We're partners, aren't we? You should be telling me everything. Her loud voice was like a knife that was stabbing my eardrums. I had suspected it would upset her, but she was even more furious than I imagined. Well, why didn't you tell her? You're a little bit of a fucking snowflake, buddy. Are you hiding even more secrets from me? During the weekends, you're gone the entire time. What are you up to? Danny, I already informed you. I go to church on those days. But I don't like it. We work during the weekdays and I barely get to spend time with you. Now you go to the church all day during weekends instead of spending time with me. You barely give me any attention anymore. Please, don't raise your voice at me. I don't like it. Why was she yelling? Why does she only care about what she wanted? Why wouldn't she consider what I wanted? It's like you don't care about a relationship anymore. I stared at her, motionlessly. Oh, man. I don't want to come across as, what's the word? Insensitive. This is definitely a subject that, is serious. But it's a video game. And you didn't come here to be shook by the, psychosis of this man. I'm just here to distract you from the serious topic. She's scolding me, just like how my mother used to scream at every little mistake I did. I started to recall more about that horrible woman. Don't just stand there, say something! Since Danny's possessed, my demonic mother must be slowly corrupting and taking over her from the inside. Yeah, he is definitely schizophrenic, or something of that nature. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I can't diagnose him, but it's textbook. Yeah, they were both starting to resemble each other. Her yells were getting muffled and more slowly replaced by the voices in my head. She's not the one for you. If you cared about the relationship, you would have put more effort into planning our wedding. Stop screaming, please, I can't stand it. You really don't care about me or our future at all. Everything will be fine, just stop shouting at me. I was uneasy once again from her yelling. The angrier she got, the more suffocating it felt. Stop saying everything will be fine. How can everything be fine if you never do anything right? My eyes widened immediately when those words erupted from her mouth. A familiar silhouette flashed before my eyes once again. You never do anything right, Samuel. Mother, you're back? She's been possessed yet again. Isn't that what you're thinking? Yes, that was the cause of this irrational behavior. My fiancé's screams along with the loud voices in my head were too much to bear. I wish you would put more effort into us, Samuel. I covered my ears and shook my head, desperate to get rid of all the noise. Stop, please, just stop talking. Wait for her to calm down. Yes, I'm not playing devil's advocate in this one, guys. The nothingness filled my ears. Everything was becoming blurry. It was harder to breathe. I desperately attempted to gasp for air. I can't take this anymore. Overwhelmed, I wanted to get away from everything. I wanted everything to be back to normal, and I immediately knew who would bring me that peace I so badly sought. I have to see him. With all the strength that I could muster, I ran out the door and to the church as fast as my legs would take me. Once inside the building, I glanced around desperately in search of my angel. When I realized he was nowhere in sight, my behavior grew more frantic. My heart raced as I desperately searched for the priest. Where are you? I need you. I hopelessly searched around the church. The more places I covered, the more anxious I got. My hands trembled from the dreaded anxiety. It was getting harder and harder to breathe. Just then, I spotted a man emerging out of the confessional booth. Could it be? With my regained hope, I stepped closer to the confessionals. One side of the booth was empty, and I could make out a silhouette on the other side. Even with the widescreen, I caught a glimpse of the familiar light hair. My lips curled into a smile. There he is. I took a deep breath as I was finally able to relax my nerves. Giddy with excitement, I took a step inside. I clasped my hands together and lowered my head to pray. It was going to be my first time speaking to him, and I was nervous yet elated. Forgive me. I was so excited to talk to him that I ended up stuttering. Take a deep breath. There's no need to be nervous. The moment I heard his beautiful voice, a wave of relief washed over me. It truly felt like I was greeted by a heavenly presence, a feeling of pure enlightenment. He's speaking to me. He's speaking to me. He's speaking to me. It was difficult to contain my joy. My apologies, Father, for this is the first time here. First time at this church? No, of course not. I've been visiting you often, ever since I first saw you. Then I see you mean it's your first time confessing. Yes, Father. As the priest recited the opening prayer, I took out a device to secretly record our conversation. His voice was so close. I wanted to store it and listen to it forever on repeat. Tell me, what is your sin? I had an argument with my fiancé. It was just something I had blurted out at the moment. In reality, I didn't care. I wasn't seeking forgiveness because it was her who should be the one to ask forgiveness from me. It was her who had wronged me by expressing sins such as wrath and greed upon me. But that doesn't matter to me anymore. I get an excuse to talk with Father, and that's all I ever wanted. I proceeded to tell him the situation between my fiancé and me, about our fights, about how she wasn't the same person who she used to be. Before I knew it, I found myself blurting out everything, because I was aware I could tell him everything. I knew I could trust him. An argument with a loved one is inevitable. It's bound to happen eventually. You sound as though you are timid by nature, so it must be difficult to hear her badgering about your financial situation. I was elated that he was on my side. I was right all along. That's not necessarily what it means. He's just doing his job. But your fiancé has a strong reason to want the money. She is only worried about your future together. That part I didn't quite agree with. Greed for money is never a valid reason, even if she was concerned about our future. Buddy, greed is one of the sins that turned my mother into a horrible human in the first place. Greed is unforgivable. I want you to know that a minor argument with your loved one is not something that you should break your bond over. You are forgiven. Thank you. I am very grateful that you spoke to me. Being graced by your presence itself is truly a blessing. A blessing that instantly made my troubled mind feel at ease. What passionate words. You sure sound like a vigorous young man. The priest let out a soft chuckle. It was like music to my ears. I wanted to hear more of him. Then let us end our session here. Already? But I wanted to talk with him more. I bit my lips, frustrated that our time was already coming to an end. But my anger died down with the priest recited when the priest recited the closing prayer. I couldn't help but let myself drown in his beautiful voice. I was deeply infatuated. Amen. Amen. Letting out a sigh, I stepped out of the booth because I had no other choice. After I left, someone else went inside and my heart immediately dropped. I was envious. Hey, that's a sin! I wanted to converse with Father, but now someone else is in my stead. I contemplated about going into the booth again, but I was concerned that he would recognize my voice and ask me why I entered twice. You could return some other day. Filled with envy, I ended up standing in the same position for a long time, watching people come and go. Even when I got to see a silhouette through the small holes of the widescreen, it was unsatisfactory. I wanted to see more of him. Jesus. When the church was in its closing hours, I finally returned home. Danny wasn't home even though it was already late at night. Then I remembered her telling me about having to take longer shifts and working extra hours. Must be busy at the office. The door creaked open, and my fiancée stepped inside. When she saw me, she immediately jumped into my arms. Are you alright, Sammy? I'm sorry for yelling at you before. I started to get worried when you ran off. I was so worried. Everything is alright, Danny. I was no longer upset with her because I was feeling cheerful from my interaction with the Father. You're smiling, and you're in your outdoor wear. Yeah, is that a problem? You came home late, didn't you? And you're smiling. That would make anyone suspicious. I went to church. Church again? Indeed, that is my sacred haven where I can find peace. But you used to say your sacred haven was by my side. Am I not it anymore? I shook my head to confirm she was, but deep down, I knew she wasn't. I no longer felt at peace around Danny ever since my demonic mother started possessing her. Just then, my phone buzzed from inside my pocket. I had received a text from Noah, Danny's best friend. We were acquaintances. It was easy to get along with him because he was overly charismatic, unlike me. Hey, Samuel, I have something to tell you. What is it? Have you noticed that Danny's been coming home late? Yeah, she's busy at the office. I don't think so. Do you know Seth, that rich and handsome guy from her department? Yeah, I saw them walking out in the bar and heading... Hello! Just the two of them. Isn't that weird? I thought I should just let you know. Without replying, I switched off my phone. Oh, this is getting interesting! Danny and her coworker? She's only mingling with a colleague. Even though that's not what I think. I scanned through the text messages and reread every single word. This is not a random person's words. This is her best friend who knows everything about her. Yeah. What could he possibly be hinting at me? Deep inside, I knew there could be a possibility that Danny... You fucking hypocrite! My brother in Christ! Because my mother, who would casually commit infidelity, was possessing her, after all. Oh. It was past closing time, and there wasn't any visitors inside the church. Well, aside from me. I hid in the shadows to avoid being detected as I watched the Father from afar. I contemplated about walking up to him and casually starting a conversation, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Thinking about being close to his presence once again made me overwhelmed with excitement. These emotions, I wanted to consume them little by little, then savor them fully. That fantasy came to a stop when my cell phone rang. I silently cursed under my breath and ran outside the building just in time before the Father turned around to find the source of the noise. I didn't want him to know that I was watching him. The cell was from Danny. Instead of picking it up, I returned to our home to confront her. You're out late again. Where were you? Why didn't you pick up your phone? I was at church. Sammy, it's 9 p.m. Most churches close after sunset. I stayed behind after hours. Sure you're not lying to me? It's just really hard to believe. I frowned. Why was she throwing accusations at me when I was telling the truth? I wasn't able to comprehend. Well, you've been coming home late too. I thought I told you I had to work longer shifts because of the workload. The text I received from her best friend lingered in my mind. I know you've been going out late at night with that coworker of yours. Huh? I only remember grabbing a drink with my colleagues. Nothing else is going on. But I'm starting to understand now. They say cheaters are the ones who are insecure about their own infidelity. You're accusing me because you're the one who's being unfaithful. Weren't you just accusing him of being unfaithful? Why are you turning this on me? My blood was boiling. I didn't understand why she was trying to put me at fault. She's shifting the blame, like what my mother would do to inflict guilt on me. You've been up to something these past few nights, haven't you? I don't like it when you're angry. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Why are you always avoiding confrontation? Danny continued yelling at me, and I ignored her. Her words were slowly becoming less audible, so I blankly stared at her. Images of my mother flashed before me once again, reminding me of her demonic presence. I wasn't able to hear anything anymore, but I didn't mind since I didn't want to hear a mouth that speaks vulgar things anyway. I preferred it if things stayed quiet like this. You know, there's something about silence and not wanting to have confrontation, but you are in a relationship. She is your fiance, and even though you aren't in love with her anymore, maybe you should, like, talk to her about that. Make her stop, wait for her to calm down. We're gonna wait. We're gonna let her calm down. The voices in my head rang loudly, but I'm stronger than them. I am capable of thinking by myself. My tubby. I ended up standing still like a statue, gazing nonchalantly at my fiancé. I didn't feel like arguing since it would only incur more wrath. Fine. If you're going to ignore me, I'll leave. After she was exhausted from yelling, she went into our bedroom and locked the door. It's not as if I wanted to sleep on the same bed as hers after this incident. Settling myself on the couch, I stared at the ceiling. Discomfort was building up bit by bit. Rather than feeling at home, it was as if I was in a stranger's residence. The emotions were suffocating me, and I wasn't able to get rid of this unpleasant bubbling within. Then I remembered my medicine. My beautiful medicine. I took out a pair of earbuds and connected them to my phone. Like an addict, I frantically placed the buds firmly inside my ears and proceeded to switch on a recording. Tell me, what is your sin? My mood immediately brightened up. Hearing the father's calming voice never failed to soothe my soul. I was glad that I recorded our conversation. I could feel my body starting to relax. Listening through my earbuds felt like he was whispering directly into my ears. Then I started to imagine what it would feel like to have him right beside me, saying sweet nothings into my ear and touching me. Just fantasizing about it made my body tingle. A shaky breath escaped from my parted lips as I thought more and more about him. His voice, his touch, his everything. After gratifying myself with his voice, I grew exhausted and eventually fell asleep. Oh boy, this is... Man, this game is... It's definitely serious. Why can't you do anything right, Samuel? My mother stumbled into the room. The smell of alcohol wafted into my nostrils the closer she came. Probably went out drinking again like every other night. You good-for-nothing son, I told you to clean up the house, but it's still a mess everywhere. I did my best to clean. Why can't she praise me for once? Her voice is so loud. She had a plate in her hand, which she shoved in my face to show me the stain. These plates are all dirty. You're already 9. Why can't you even wash dishes properly? No need to yell. It's not like I did it on purpose. Okay. You know, crazy as this guy is, you can feel for him. Definitely. You can tell that he's not like this because he chooses to be. He's like this because he was made like this. He is a product of his circumstance. But that doesn't excuse the fact that everyone is able of reaching out and getting help. Anyway, let's continue. I scrubbed hard, I really did. Then she threw the plate on the floor. Bits of porcelain scattered across the room, some pieces landing on my foot. I have to clean all this up, don't I? I stepped on the sharp debris to fetch the broom. My soles were bleeding, yet they felt numb. I was somewhat used to the pain. More than that, I was used to the violent behavior from my mother. The only wish on my mind was to be left alone in peace, away from her voice. I just wanted her to stop screaming at me. I just wanted to tidy up and head to bed. Babe, come over here already, I'm getting lonely. The voice of another man beckoned for my mother. It differed from the person who visited yesterday. Every night, she would bring home a different person to sleep with even though she had a lover. Lust. I couldn't count the number of sins that she committed with my fingers. What an ugly person. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. Sammy? Hearing my name being called, I woke up. My fiancée was hovering over me with a look of concern on her face. Danny, I'm sorry for yelling at you yesterday. It's alright. I'm feeling slightly better. But I knew that wasn't true because I felt horrible, especially after dreaming about an event that had happened during my childhood. I didn't want to see that demon. I'm going to work now, but I wanted to make up with you before I left. She sat next to me and gave me a hug. I love you, Sammy. I suddenly froze, not knowing what to respond with. Sammy? Is something the matter? I closed my eyes shut before hesitantly returning her embrace. I love you too. That was odd. Why did it feel insincere to tell her I love her? I am supposed to love her, right? She's my fiancée after all. She pulled away from me when she received a message on her phone. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her texting that rumored coworker of hers. She smiled as she messaged him. But why was she smiling? Does she share her love with him too? Then, an image of the demon appeared. Yes, Danny was starting to remind me more and more of my mother. Like how my mother betrayed her partner with different people every night. I had suspicions that Danny would follow the same path. Ugh, boy. Because the two of them were becoming one. Feeling unsettled, I decided to skip work and visit the church. Oh boy. I wanted to feel at ease and be graced with the presence of the man who I admired. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me to the right paths for his name's sake. I was just in time for the sermon. How intoxicating his voice was, as per usual. I was engrossed with every word that came out of his mouth. The movements of his lips mesmerized me. His enticing, pale lips. My heart dropped when I realized that the sermon had ended. I would no longer be able to hear his voice. As I watched others casually approach the Father, discomfort bubbled within me. Those dirty hands of theirs, tainting the pure, angelic aura of my dear priest. My desire to talk to him grew. I knew I had to talk to him. I had to. I could no longer ignore my strong desires. Just then, I heard footsteps. I raised my head to see who had approached me, and my face brightened up when I realized who it was. Did you come here alone? Yes. The whole scenario was like a dream to me. This was our first time talking face to face, and I knew it would be cherished memories I would keep for as long as I lived. What made this occasion more joyous was the fact that the Father was the one who had initiated the conversation with me. Do you remember me, Father? I spoke to you in there last week. Should you be openly informing me? Don't you want to keep your privacy? I trust you, Father. I want you to know everything about me. Every single thing. I enjoy listening to your sermons, Father. Your voice is beautiful, just like your appearance. Filled with grace. How I admire you so. Every time I hear your voice, my mind calms down as if I'm suddenly transported to a relaxing tropical beach. I'm pleased to hear that I was able to help you. That is all I ever wanted when I accepted this duty, to bring peace into the hearts of the troubled. Indeed you did. Your voice is truly powerful. Thank you for gracing me with your ethereal presence. Quite an intriguing individual you are. The father covered his mouth with the hand to muffle his laughter. Why was he covering it? I wanted to hear it. No parishioners have ever complimented me with this greatly before. Although it is certainly odd to hear, it warms my heart that you are so passionate about my sermons. I am, and I will keep visiting this church just to listen to you and your stories. Nothing makes me happier than seeing those in the younger demographic interested in the communion. You look fairly young yourself, Father. Do I? I tend to forget my age ever since I became a priest. Thank you for reminding me about my youth. The laughter that came out of his throat caused me to be even more infatuated. This time, he didn't try to muffle it. Thankfully, now I get to hear something truly beautiful. It was me who caused him to smile that brightly. It was me. I wanted to hear what other sounds he could make. I wanted to see more of his expressions. It's time for me to be heading into the confessionals. Will you be joining me today? Yes, I would love to. This is the first time I've met someone who's positively enthusiastic about confessing their sins. Usually, one would be wretched with guilt or anxiety. That is because your presence alone prevents me from being low-spirited. Just being around you removes all my burdens. Is that so? I'm glad I can make you feel at ease. By the way, my name is Samuel. Well then, Samuel, follow me. Hearing my name come out of his lips gave me an immense tremors. I wanted to hear him repeat my name forever. I sat behind the widescreen, and he was already at the other side. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I pursed my lips thinking about my argument with Danny last night. You can confide in me. You can confide anything in me, Samuel. As usual, the Father's calming voice sent a wave of reassurance throughout my body, and I felt less tense. I decided to inform him about a topic that had been lingering on my mind. I have suspicions that my fiancée is being unfaithful. From rumors and her coming home late, I'm quite certain that she's cheating on me with her coworker. That doesn't sound too concerning. Are you sure it's not a misunderstanding? No, her best friend confirmed my suspicions. Is that so? To find out that the love of your life has been unfaithful must be hard on you. I am sorry to hear that. The love of my life? I knew that I wanted all her love, all her attention, but nowadays it felt like she doesn't love me anymore. Samuel, is something the matter? I was just pondering. Father, my apologies for the delay with my response. Tell me, Father, are my sins big? The right thing would be to express your concerns and listen to her side of the story. Every relationship will eventually have an issue, and you shouldn't let your bond waver. Do you think she still loves me? Perhaps. You're a good man from what I can tell, so I can somewhat guarantee that she still loves you. Good. I still need her love. I want to be loved. Your words are quite perplexing. What do you mean? You keep expressing that you want to be loved, but you have never once mentioned that you love her. It's been hard for me to do so lately. In a relationship, both parties have to mutually express love towards one another in order for it to work. Yeah! I don't think I feel the same love for her as I did before. That tends to occur after a dispute, but you will eventually develop feelings for her again. Do not worry. I doubted that. I would, because I knew what my heart wanted. My infatuation was not directed towards the priest and no one else. I could see myself loving no one else aside from him. Father, can you step outside for a moment? Might I ask you why? Please, I just want to see you. The door to the booth creaked open, and the priest stepped outside. I abided by your wishes. Now what is it that you seek? I reached out my hand to gently hold his and proceeded to lock our fingers together. Feeling his skin, felt better than what I had imagined, soft to the touch. Samuel, what might you be doing? I wanted to touch you. I wondered how much love I would feel if I were to hold you. But why would you feel anything by touching me? You don't have any feelings for me. You're wrong. I gazed intently at his face, and the father swiftly turned his head away. You're very gentle, father. Your skin is as soft as your personality. His cheeks turned rosy red, and the sight made me smile. You're blushing. The priest withdrew his hand. The moment I could no longer feel his skin, it was as if I was missing a puzzle piece. I am embarrassed because it had been a while since I had tenderly held someone else's hand. Really? Yes, ever since I was committed to the priesthood. My apologies for showing you an odd side of me. I should have been more calm and collected. It wasn't odd. I thought your face flushed. I thought your flushed face was beautiful. I mean, even if you were embarrassed, you were already beautiful. Laughter escaped from his throat as it echoed through the church walls. Beautiful am I. You truly are well versed at giving compliments. Tell these words to your fiancée, and I'm sure it'll make her swoon. You are quite the sweet talker, Samuel. Does that mean my words make you feel something, father? Instead of thinking about me, you should be focusing on your fiancée. Damn right. Even though I wanted to disagree, I hesitantly nodded. Father, you mentioned that it's been a while since you held someone's hand. Does that mean you had a lover before? Indeed, I have. Though, it has been quite a few years. My blood began to boil. That person had once loved the father, touched him, talked to him, and received his love. An anger rose, my hands trembled. I was envious of this previous lover. Samuel, are you alright? I am afraid I'm feeling unwell. Then you should head home and rest. But what about the confession? I want to continue. Samuel, your health is more important. Please rest well, for my sake. For your sake, then I shall. Eventually I relented. Even though I wanted to talk more with him, I didn't want to concern my dear priest. When I came home, I was upset yet again when I realized Danny wasn't home. Just when I needed her love the most, I wanted it. I wanted her love. Still perturbed from earlier, I wanted her love to calm me down. Rather than feeling envy towards Danny's co-worker, my rage was directed toward whoever the father's past lover was. I was distraught. Thinking about the possibility that this lover could have done intimate activities with my beloved made me furious. Suddenly, I heard someone knocking on the door. Danny, why are you knocking? I swung the door open to let her in, but it wasn't Danny. It was Noah. What are you doing here? Just coming to pay a visit. Danny's not here. Just because I'm her best friend, that doesn't mean I'm here to see her. I'm here to see you. My apologies, but I'm feeling unwell. I don't want to take part in idle chatter with you. But I'm not here for a chat. Noah's hand trailed down my chest. I know you must be feeling lonely, knowing that Danny is going out with her coworkers late at night, leaving you all by yourself. Do you want me to make you feel less lonely? And how would you help me? You can use me. When Noah hovered his hand over my belt, I instantly knew what he meant. I'm interested in you, Samuel. Let's have fun for one night. But you're married. We're in an open relationship. That's blasphemous. True love is meant to be between two people. Still holding on to old values when we're in the 21st century. An open relationship is normal nowadays, you know? I disagree. You're so pure, Samuel. That's why I'm so fond of you. But why with me? What about your bond with Danny? Because it's more exciting that way. I'm a thrill seeker. But unlike you, I'm not in an open relationship and I refuse to be in one. See, the fact that you aren't is the fun part. Oh, I don't understand. Noah grabbed my hand and brought it under his shirt. I could feel my palm sliding against his bare chest. You must be pretty pent up, right? Release all your frustration on me. My frustration? Punches him in the face. No, my mind snapped when the thought of the father's past lover entered. Before I knew it, I found myself flipping our positions and pinning Noah to the couch. As I did the deed, I thought about my priest, the sensation of skin against mine. Would it feel like this? I imagined it was him who was with me. After relieving my frustration, a pang of guilt immediately settled inside. What have I done? Not only did I commit infidelity by sleeping with a married man, but I also tainted the image of the purity of my dear father. While my head was buried in my hands, Noah began to put his clothes back on. I wasn't aware that you had daddy issues. Pardon? You kept mumbling father under your breath. What's that about? The probing question made me slightly annoyed. Please leave. Was just about to. Danny will be back soon, so I have to get going anyway. Noah planted a kiss on my cheek before whispering in my ear. Keep this little secret between us. You don't want Danny to get mad, do you? Okay, so he fabricated that shit with her coworker to get that under my skin, his skin. Hold on, my hands are tingly from reading all this. Oxygen, man. Yes. Doesn't keeping secrets give you this amazing thrill? Now that I shared my fun with you, I better get going. Then I watched the sinful man leave my home. When I was left alone, I let the voices drown out my thoughts. You committed a great sin. I'm aware. I'll just ask the Father for forgiveness and it'll be all better. You think he will forgive you this time? Knowing how gentle he is, he won't be upset. He'll surely forgive me. You are so naive. He won't forgive you. He'll be disgusted by you for committing such sinful actions. No, I don't want him to hate me. Tell him the truth and he'll hate you. No, he can't hate me. Please, stop talking. I covered my ears to make the tormenting voices go away, but they would not disappear. Instead, the voice grew more powerful. You have to repent. He'll never forgive you. Sammy? When I heard a familiar voice entering my ear, I raised my head up to see Danny staring at me with concern written all over her face. Are you alright? Yes. It's getting late. What are you still doing in the living room? Let's go to bed. You slept out here last night, and it must have been uncomfortable, huh? I nodded weakly. When Danny pulled me in for a hug, the scent of alcohol drifted into my nostrils. How much did you drink? You smell stronger than usual. We've been working some long hours, so I just needed stress relief. Getting intoxicated is not good for you. It'll delude your mind into doing unthinkable acts. Buddy, you're already deluded enough, and you just did some unthinkable acts sober. So, it's just a few glasses of beer. Can you not lecture me, Sammy? I'm really tired. A drunkard, just like Mother was. The smell of alcohol imprinted a bad memory from my childhood that I despised greatly. Danny tiptoed to softly kiss my lips. The lingering scent of alcohol from her breath made me shudder. Let's go to bed. You're the same as your mother. You despised her for sleeping around with people behind her lover's back, but now you committed the same deed. No. You're unfaithful, just like her. I'm not the same as her! I quickly sat up from my bed, panting. Eventually, I managed to calm myself down. I was used to it. I was used to the voices violently shaking me awake. Since it was dawn, I decided to grab a cup of coffee. A warm beverage might be what I needed to relax my mind. You're unfaithful. Even when I was awake, the nightmare didn't end. The voices would always follow me around. It was just something I had to live with. That's not true. I shook my head, desperately trying to get the voices to go away. Sammy, what's wrong? Danny stepped out of the bedroom and hugged me from behind. You're up early. So are you. You suddenly screamed and got out of bed. How can I continue sleeping when I'm worried about you? So what's troubling you? I just had a nightmare. What was it about? My mother. When I turned around to look at Danny, I gasped, because instead of my fiancé, my deceased mother was standing before me. You're filthy. No, go away. My mother took a step forward. Don't come any closer. She raised her arm and reached her hand towards me. Don't hurt me. I panicked because I assumed she was out for revenge after what I had done to her. Then her wrinkled hand caressed my cheek. Wait, but it didn't feel wrinkled. Please, calm down, Sammy. I won't hurt you. My mind snapped back to reality, and I saw my fiancé once again. My mother was nowhere in sight. Why did I always see her whenever I'm around Danny lately? You definitely don't look fine. You should go to see the doctor and get your prescriptions refilled. Yeah, you should. But I'm fine. I'm normal. I don't want to take the medications. Then I was suddenly reminded of the priest. He is your only medicine. He'll make you feel at peace. Yeah. That's right. I need to go to church right away. There was no sermon today. When I realized the father wasn't in sight, I started to become agitated. Where are you? Feeling lost, I sat on the pew, trying to get the dreadful feeling to go away. I want to see you. My hands clasped together tightly as I lowered my head to pray. I needed to pray, since I was bothered by the demonic presence I had faced today. Mother, why do you keep appearing whenever I'm with Danny? Remember what you did to your own mother? No, I did nothing. You killed her. No, I did not. I did not. Suddenly, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Are you all right, Samuel? The voices in my head immediately vanished, and my face lit up from the sight before me. Father, how I yearned to see you. He carefully scanned my expression and frowned. You seem troubled. I am. The father took a seat in the pew next to me, and my heart jumped out of my chest. Do you want to confide in me and tell me your concerns? Yes, I want to tell you everything, Father. You see, my deceased mother has been on my mind lately. She has been constantly bothering me. Why is that? Do you feel guilt of some sort? Guilt? No, I did nothing wrong, so there's no guilt at all. Though I do despise her greatly. For the entire duration of my childhood till I was an adult, she neglected me. For all she cared about were the various lovers that she would bring home every night. All her love and attention were given to them and not me. The only time my mother would speak to me was when she needed to order me around or scold me for the smallest of things. She was so filled with greed that I never had possessions other children had, yet items purchased for herself were all luxurious. I was alone. I had no one. I was left to fend for myself at an early age. I'm sorry to hear that. Thinking about my childhood started to make my hands tremble. My breathing quickened as panic slowly devoured me. The father noticed this and placed a hand on top of mine. His thumb slowly caressed my fingers, and I could feel myself calming down from his touch. Relax, and take a deep breath. As always. As always, his soothing voice brought peace into my soul. Your past may be terrible, but I believe that it made you who you are today. Who am I today? How would you describe me, Father? I think you are strong for enduring all those troubling moments from the past. I think you're a passionate young man. Hearing his compliments brought a smile to my face. Thank you. You'll never fail to make my heart feel at ease. Thank you truly, Father. You are most welcome. I hope you'll continue to stay strong, Samuel. The priest began to flip through the pages in the Bible, then he hovered his index finger over a specific verse. That is why, for his sake, I delight in weakness, in insults and hardships, in persecutions and difficulties, for when I am weak, then I am strong. That is a great verse. That is a great verse. Indeed, it is one of my favorites. I tend to recite it whenever I feel troubled. I should memorize it too, so I can stay strong whenever my mother enters my mind. She is deceased, is she not? It is time to move on from her. I'm trying, but it's really hard when I keep seeing her. Then would you feel more at ease if I were to bless her? Yes, I would like that. The father held his hands together to pray, and I watched him intently. Come to me, all you who labor... Come to me, all ye who labor and are overburdened, and I will give you rest. Shoulder my yoke and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Every word that came out of his lips was like music to my ears. The way he closed his eyes and he recited the prayer, everything was mesmerizing. My heart throbbed, and I found myself licking my lips. I could stare at him forever. Amen. Amen. It's very unkind of you. It's very kind of you to offer to bless my mother when you didn't have to. It's my pleasure. My only wish is to make this world a better place by bringing peace and joy to the troubled. You're very kind, Father. Not at all. It is my duty. Is it why you became a priest? Partly, yes. The father nervously averted his eyes from me. Partly because I wanted to escape from falling into human desires. Love, hate, envy, lust, everything that comes with being in a relationship. I wanted to get away from it all. But isn't falling in love worth it regardless of all the negative aspects that come with it? Perhaps, but I always had terrible luck when it came to love, so I doubt I could have found my soulmate. All my partners were manipulative and abusive in some way. Those experiences left a bad taste in my mouth. You know, I don't want to victim blame, but maybe it's not. Maybe there's a pattern. The priesthood helped me escape from all my troubles. I no longer needed the love from another person because I have his. The priest stared up the ceiling, and I knew exactly what he meant. I could feel my anger rising as I sought revenge on all those horrid humans who hurt the father's feelings. But I knew he would preach forgiveness, so I tried my best to calm down. It's such a shame that your past relationships made you see love in a negative light. They are horrible people. I wish I could show you how beautiful real love truly is. If it were me, I would have placed you on a pedestal. I would have treasured you, like how a king treats his dear queen. I tenderly held his hand and kissed his fingertips. I would have treated you well and showed you with all my affection and love because you only deserve the best. The father stared at me with wide eyes as his cheeks quickly turned into a shade of crimson. He let out a sigh before withdrawing his hand away. Father, what's wrong? I'm pleased to hear you say this, Samuel, but you have a fiancée. Surely you should give those words to her and not me. No, those words are for you and only you, because like I said, you deserve to be treated well. Thank you, Samuel. It's very thoughtful of you. Your fiancé must be a lucky person to be with someone as considerate and caring as you. I stared at his flushed face and smiled. At this moment, I feel truly happy. And why is that? I'm glad you told me more about yourself. I always wanted to know more about you, Father. Before, I only talked about myself and barely knew anything about you. The father let out a chuckle before swiftly covering his mouth to hold it in. My dear Samuel, I am a priest. It is my duty to listen to your troubles, not the other way around. Remember when you told me that in a relationship, both parties have to be mutual towards one another in order for it to work? That's why I want you to tell me more about yourself. But we are not in a relationship, are we? I frowned. I didn't like that he kept rejecting my advances. You're a good man to care this much about me, Samuel. I appreciate it. Since he complimented me, a smile returned to my face. Andrew. I stared at him in disbelief. My mouth left agape. Is that your name? Indeed. You expressed that you wanted to know more about me, so we shall start here. You may address me by my first name if that pleases you. I mumbled his name under my breath. Every time I repeated it, my grin grew wider. His name rolled off my tongue perfectly, like it was destined for me to call out. Thank you, Father Andrew. You may remove the honorific. Just Andrew is fine with me. I was giddy with excitement. I felt like I was a step ahead of every other church patron. Dude. It felt like I was special. Dude. A yawn escaped from Andrew's lips. Oh, a yawn escaping from my lips, too. And he rubbed his eyes to keep himself awake. Are you tired? My apologies, I should not have yawned. You don't have to be sorry, it's normal to be fatigued. Since it looks inappropriate to lie down on the pews, feel free to use my shoulder to lean on and take a rest. No, I shouldn't, I am on duty. It is fine, there's no one else in the church beside us. I'll wake you up if there is a visitor. Still hesitant, he took a quick glance towards the entrance. I suppose I should, since no one else is present. Oh man, you should not tempt this man of faith. After convincing him, Andrew leaned his head on my shoulders. I could feel his heart beating loudly since he was so close. We were finally side by side, my body touching his. I watched his beautiful eyelids slowly close shut. His slightly parted lips made me ponder about what would they feel like if they were on mine. I could hear his breaths echoing in my ears. They were a delight to hear. A full minute barely passed before Andrew sat up. The lack of touch made me feel empty once again. Not exhausted anymore? I couldn't rest since I could feel your strong pulse. My apologies, I cannot control it. No, there is no need to apologize. Andrew greatly pressed his palm against my chest. Your heart seems to be beating really fast. You must be very anxious. It made me realize you must have come to church today because you wanted to confess your sins. Is that correct? Partially. I mostly wanted to see you. My heart was beating for you. Then let us get into the confessionals. I will try my best to make you feel less anxious. What about your rest? Do not concern yourself with me. Helping you reduce your worries by listening to your troubles is my priority. Recalling my own duty no longer made me feel tired. We stood at the opposite ends of the confessional booth. Remembering my infidelity, I was eager to get it off my chest. It made me feel disgusting, but I hoped Andrew would ease my concerns. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Even when you gave me advice during my last visit, I failed to pull through. I ended up cheating on my fiancée with her best friend. Oh, my dear Samuel, what have you done? Hearing the dismay, his tone made my heart drop. Is he upset with me? I don't want him to be disappointed with me. Do you despise me now? No, I don't. We humans tend to make mistakes on an impulse. What you did was wrong. Infidelity is wrong. But what's right is that you are here confessing your sin to me. As long as you repent, you will be forgiven. A wave of relief immediately washed over me. I was glad that he wasn't upset with me. Of course he wasn't. Andrew had always been gentle. So gentle. I'm pleased to hear that you don't despise me for what I did. I can tell that you're a good man, Samuel. There's no reason for me to despise you. You are forgiven. A grin crept across my face. My heart was bursting with joy, and I knew that I had to thank him properly. I had an overwhelming urge to see him. No, not with this widescreen covering us. Can you please step outside, Andrew? You've been requesting this lately. Next time, let's have a face-to-face confession instead. The door to the booth creaked. Ooh, man, I need to take a little break. I'm getting a little dizzy from reading all this. Well, I'll be right back, guys. Alright, we're back. Hello, degenerates. I wasn't patient enough, so I quickly swung the door open. Oh, crap. What's the matter, Samuel? Seeing his face without anything between us was pure bliss. The more I gazed at Andrew, the more I desired him. I sunk into my urges and took a step forward. Samuel? I wrapped my arms around the priest and was enveloped by the warmth of his body. What might you be doing? I tightened my grip, not wanting to let go. No, I never want to let go. I want him in my arms forever. Thank you for forgiving me. You truly are an angel who was descended from the heavens. A beautiful chuckle escaped from his lips. I am no angel. I am a mere mortal with a duty. You always forgive me no matter what I do. You always make me feel better. Of course I will forgive you. All of us will cave into committing sin eventually. What matters is that we repent. You're right. I will repent. Thank you for always making me feel at ease. I must thank you as well. I've never truly felt this appreciated before. You notice my efforts to make the world a better place. You make me feel cherished when no one else does. It's silly of me, but it feels pleasant to be appreciated. Andrew's arms clutched me as he reciprocated my embrace. Aww. His fingers stroked along my back. And appreciate you more I shall. Tell him. Tell him the truth about the root cause of your infidelity. This was odd. Why were the voices present? Usually they would disappear whenever I'm around Andrew. But now, they were louder than ever, immensely echoing in my head. Tell him. Tell him about your desires. Tell him. The persistent demand finally broke me. I pulled away from Andrew so I could stare deep into his eyes. Tell him you're obsessed. Tell him you have feelings for him. I have something else to confess, and I fear you won't forgive me this time. Andrew stretched his hand towards me and caressed my shoulder. Don't look so down, Samuel. I will always forgive you. After all, it is my duty to encourage forgiveness and repentance. His reassuring smile immediately made me feel at ease. I've been thinking about you a lot lately. In fact, a lot. I think about you all day. I think about you all night. You are all that is on my mind. I held his hand and placed it on top of my chest. This heart beats for you. What are you trying to imply? I think you are fully aware of what I mean. I love you. I desire you. But you are engaged, and I am a priest. I believe that love will overcome any obstacles. No, it is not possible. Andrew quickly snatched his hand away from me and turned his head to avoid my gaze. Please leave. But why? I'm sorry. I need to gather my thoughts. Alone. I think that you should compliment your own feelings as well. You have a fiancé, for goodness sake. But I do truly love you. Please say no more. It would be best if you leave without uttering another word. Seeing how distraught he was, I decided to respect his wishes. It broke my heart to see him saddened over my confession. Why wouldn't he love me back? Dark. Everything was dark. My life had always been this way, filled with darkness. But when I experienced love for the first time, there was a small glimmer of light shining down from above. It felt warm. And I wanted more because I still felt cold. Then one day, I got it. The light shining down on me grew larger when I saw him for the first time. The love of my life. Never had I ever felt this much affection and desire towards another individual. I wanted him so badly. But wait, why is he starting to fade? No, don't leave me, please. I need you. Wait, stop, don't go. I reached my hand out to grab him, but there was nothing. No! I quickly got up from the couch. Heavy pants echoed throughout the room as I tried to catch my breath. I felt calmer realizing that I was in the living room. A nightmare. Just a horrible nightmare. My lap felt heavy, and I glanced down to see my fiancée resting her head on my thighs. I gently shook her shoulders to wake her up. Danny, why are you sleeping here? Slipping back into consciousness, I gotta turn this damn volume down. Fuck. Slipping back into consciousness, she rubbed her eyes and stretched her arms. When you came home last night and fell asleep on the couch, I was so worried. I couldn't just let you sleep outside alone. I smiled at her. The fact that she was concerned for me meant she still loved me, and I appreciated that love. I am willing to accept any form of love given to me. That's not healthy. You've been acting weird lately. Is everything alright? Yeah, everything is fine. The look of concern on her face caused me to feel a buildup of emotions inside my stomach. Unpleasant emotions. What a strange feeling. My heart clenched the more I stared into her eyes, so I averted my gaze. I wondered why I felt uncomfortable. Is it because I no longer loved her? Could this be guilt? If anything's on your minds, I'll be here to listen. A large lump was stuck in my throat. It was easy to express my deepest worries to Andrew, but it was so difficult to do so with Danny. Why was that? Your face is turning pale. Is everything alright? Suddenly, an image of my demonic mother flashed before my eyes. That's right. It was because I no longer see Danny the same way I did before. I cursed at my mother under my breath. It was her fault that I'm experiencing strange emotions towards Danny. Then I recalled the day I visit her grave. The day where I first saw my beloved. But I wouldn't have met Andrew without you. Andrew? Who's Andrew? I didn't realize until now that I was speaking my thoughts out loud. Oh, he's the priest at the church that I attend so often. Is that so? It's no surprise you would get close to a pastor since you've been visiting the church lately. But why do you keep going there so often? To learn more about religion. I see my Sammy is becoming a devout man. I felt a pang in my chest. Why did I just lie? You're a liar. Liars are disgusting. You're becoming like your mother. No. It took me by surprise when Danny leaned forward and gave me a kiss. Her lips didn't give me the intoxicating rush as they once had. It felt stale. The kiss was revolting. There's no more love. You should tell her how you feel. Yeah, you should. That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. No, I can't because I don't want her to leave me. It seemed like Father doesn't love me. And if Danny doesn't love me either, who will? I wanted to be loved. I wanted it so badly. No, I needed to be loved. My fiancé pulled away and stared at me confused. Why didn't you move your lips? Sorry, Danny, I don't feel so good today. I tried to go on with my usual life, but I just couldn't. Every single thing reminded me of Andrew. I was reminded of our embrace, his laughter, his gentle voice, everything. The more I let my thoughts sink in, the more desperate and frustrated I became. You need him. Yes, I do need him. I must have him. Feeling determined yet distressed, I ran to the church. I barged into the sacred building, but no one was in sight. Why was nobody here? Why wasn't he here? Panic settled in. He's hiding from you. No. I shook off my concerns. The rational side of me told me that it was too early in the morning for anyone to be present. That's right. It's not opening hours. I felt hopeless. Not being able to see my beloved right away made me feel hopeless. My breathing quickened, and my mind was getting murky. It was getting harder for me to think straight. The only impulse I had was the urge to hold Andrew. How I badly wanted to see him. He hates you. I knew that submerging myself in the voices in my head wouldn't do any good, so I stepped outside to take in the fresh air and clear my thoughts. I found myself hovering above my mother's grave yet again. The spot was special to me. I did not care that this was the place where my mother's remains were buried. It was special because this is where I've met my first true love. Samuel? Hope sparked when I heard a familiar, gentle voice. Andrew? You're here? A single tear escaped down my face, and I tried to hold back the rest. I did not want to look weak in front of him. You're talking to me. Thank goodness. I thought you hated me because of what I had said last time. I do not hate you, Samuel. I would never despise you. Then why did you push me away? Andrew nervously rubbed his palms together. Your confession took me by surprise, and I am sorry if my words sounded harsh during that moment. Realizing he wasn't upset with me, was an immense relief. Do not apologize, because it's my fault. It was my irrational actions that made you feel troubled in the first place. But I don't want you to push me away, Andrew. Can we please go back to the way things were? I will suppress my feelings for you if I have to. I just want to be with you even if it's platonic. That's how much I care about you. Thank you. Never have I heard such deep, passionate feelings expressed towards me before, so I am at a loss for words. I am fine with our relationship staying platonic, and I wish for things to stay that way. Because... Andrew turned his head away as his cheeks turned red, and I was intrigued by this, so I held his chin to make him face me. Why are you blushing? Am I? I am, aren't I? The truth is, I don't want us to get any closer, Samuel, because I am afraid. What are you afraid of? Love. I fear that I might fall in love with you. My heart pounded. To see him flustered, to hear him say those words, it almost felt like I was jumping with joy. Love is nothing to be afraid of. You should embrace it all. But, please, love me. I will accept it wholly. I could not hold it anymore. My urges and desires were too much for me to control. I let my body take over. Without thinking, I pressed my lips against his. It was better than what I had imagined. Soft to the touch, yet dry from the lack of moisture, but that's alright. I could always make them wet. My whole body tingled as I let myself drown in such sweet tenderness. My chest felt like it was about to burst. I truly do love him. Andrew pulled away as he gasped for air. Still unsatisfied, I stared at his parted lips. Ooh, we shouldn't. You responded to the kiss. You feel the same way, don't you? Our hearts clearly beat for each other. But we can't. Why? Every other couple in the world can be together, so why can't we? I informed you yesterday, didn't I? Is it because I am engaged? I could break it off for you. I'll do anything to have you by my side. Andrew cast his head down and seemed even more upset. As a priest, I cannot commend anything that would put your relationship into jeopardy. Don't think about your religious duties. For once, why don't you think about yourself? Please, try to be selfish. It's alright. Tell me what you want. Do you want to be with me? I will be willing to do anything for you if you say yes. I held his hand and kissed his fingertips to show my affection. Do you not love your fiancé? I used to, but now you're the only person who I truly love. So tell me, do you want us to be together? My apologies, Samuel, but I must stick to my religious principles. Therefore, I cannot express my thoughts nor feelings towards you as long as you are engaged. I see. But I do want you to be truthful to your fiancé. Tell her how you feel and decide for yourself. Who knows? Maybe then you can carve out the path to a future where we can be together? Perhaps. Only then will I be willing to open my heart. Kissed Andrew one more time before I left for my home. His words lingered on in my mind. He was absolutely right. I should confront Danny about my feelings. My fiancée sat on the couch, taking a sip of her coffee. Danny, we need to talk. What is it? I bit my lips, unsure of how to phrase my thoughts. Confrontation was going to be hard. She'll stop loving you if you tell her the truth. I know. Sammy, what do you want to tell me? I stared at her for a full minute. This was the person who I was supposed to wed. The person I had once loved. I took a deep breath to calm down my nerves. Now this is a choice. Oh, God. Oh, man. What does it mean if I pick the wedding date? What does that mean? Do we get wed? Do I stop saying Andrew? I don't want to give in to this dude's delulu, but... Jesus. She deserves the truth. God, why is this hard? I have to go with the truth. I knew it. You do? You've been behaving strangely lately, and you would stay out for hours, and worse, you don't hold me anymore. I'm sorry, I just didn't want to let you go. But you have to. It won't make me happy knowing that you don't love me anymore. Danny passed me a reassuring smile. I thought you would be upset with me if you knew the truth. Initially, I was. But then, I realized maybe we moved too fast. We did get engaged after 2 months of dating, after all. God, at least someone's not crazy. The fact that she didn't get mad at me made me feel like a terrible human being. I'm sorry. It's okay, Sammy. I hope things will work out with your new lover. The sun shining down on Danny made her seem heavenly for once. That was when I realized she was nothing like my mother. I no longer saw my mother in her. She was her very own individual. Finally, the haunting of my demonic mother had left. I smiled back at her. I hope you'll find someone who will love you as much as I once did. Thank you, Sammy, and I hope you'll be happier now. After breaking off my engagement, I quickly removed my wedding ring from my finger. Now, there's only one thing left to do. I ran back to the church in search of my one true love. There will be signs. No, damn it, I didn't mean to click. Andrew was in the middle of a sermon, but I did not care. I just wanted to talk to him so badly. I attempted to get his attention by waving at him, but it was futile. Dude, let him work. Distress among nations, confused by the roaring of the seas and waves. My heart ached. I yearned to be with him so desperately that nothing around me mattered at that moment. Andrew, I love you! The father almost choked in surprise before staring at me wide-eyed, face filled with bewilderment. All the other parishioners listening to the sermon also turned around to look at me, but I did not care about them. I waved my left hand frantically to show that I was no longer wearing an engagement ring. We can finally be together, right? Andrew chuckled before setting down the Bible that he was holding. Pardon me, everyone. Please spare me a moment. He then approached me and grabbed my wrist before dragging me outside. All the church attendees stared at us puzzled, but I did not care. We were outside, his hand still firmly holding on to me. We were finally alone. I cannot believe that you would yell in the middle of my sermon, because I desperately wanted to talk to you. I intertwined my fingers with him. When we were connected, it felt like I had found the missing puzzle piece that I had been searching for my entire life. I'm no longer engaged. Yes, I noticed your ring finger when you waved earlier. We can be together now, right? Andrew's brows furrowed, and I knew that he still had his concerns. Don't you want to be with me? Samuel, I do feel strongly towards you, but I do not wish to forsake my holy vows. At that moment, it felt like my heart had broken into a million pieces. Why couldn't I be with the love of my life? Why? Do not look so upset, my dear Samuel. You have not yet heard the end of my decision. I have decided to resign from my duties as a priest. Are you sure? I believe that heavenly duties and earthly desires do not go hand in hand. Therefore, I do not wish to be in a committed relationship with you while in my priesthood. I want us to be together. Damn it! I would like that as well. I think he said, I would like us to be together as normal people. I would like that as well. My hand cupped his face as I admired the beautiful person before my eyes. I was finally able to call him mine. He's mine, and mine only. I can't believe you would willingly return to normal life for me. Of course, I do cherish you, Samuel. To hear those words finally come out of his lips was like ecstasy no other. Those 3 words that I've been yearning to hear for so long. I love you. Everything from then on was perfect. A life more beautiful than I could have ever imagined. To be together with someone who I truly loved brought me happiness. True happiness that I had once desperately desired. I had it all, and I wanted things to stay the same forever. Ever since Andrew returned to normal life, he started to work an ordinary job. Even though we've only dated a few weeks, I managed to convince him to move in with me. It's because I don't want to be apart from him. Every single second without him brought me misery. So I wanted him to be by my side as much as he possibly could. You need to learn how to be your own dude, bro. Ooh. Samuel, I have returned. I smiled brightly. I had been waiting for him to come home the whole day, because I had something special prepared for him. As soon as he removed his shoes and stepped into the living room, I threw myself into his arms. How I've missed you so. I've only been away for a few hours, but it felt like an eternity. My mind was flooded with thoughts of someone else flirting with you. My dear Samuel, have I not told you before that you're the only man for me? You have. Do you not trust me? I do. I do trust you. Then you have no reason to worry. I snuggled into his neck, inhaling the scent of his sweet cologne. Ah, that's right. I have something for you, Andrew. I withdrew a small diamond ring out of my pocket and slipped it onto my lover's ring finger. Bro, did you not learn from last time? Did you not? Aww. I want us to be together forever. Will you marry me? Andrew didn't respond for a few seconds. What's wrong? Do you want me to get down on one knee? No, that is not the problem. Then what's the matter? It hasn't even been a month since we started dating. And you already proposing to me? Because I love you so much, I wanted to show you my appreciation. And I am thankful for that, but I wonder if we are moving just a bit too fast. That won't matter, because I'm committed to treating you well for the rest of my life. I am fully aware that you are my one true love, so please hold on to that ring from now on. I want everyone to know that you're mine. If it pleases you, then I will wear it. I love you very much. I love you too, Samuel. Locked ending? What, there's 4 endings? There's no way in hell! Jesus Christ. I can't... Oh my god. That was... Is there an ending where he gets psychological help? Please? Tell me. That was crazy, y'all. That was absolutely nuts. Thank you all so much for watching. Yeah, the topics in this, man, those were deep, very serious. That's why I stopped making side jokes after a little bit, because I don't want to seem like I'm insensitive. But Jesus Christ, that guy was delulu. He needs some help. He was obsessed. Anyway, Degenerates, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe, or not. It doesn't matter to me. And as always, stay degenerative.